Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football Dill. Late Friday night, really some massive news for this Oklahoma Sooners program. Former five-star defensive lineman David Stone entering into the transfer portal. And Dill, this is the harsh reality of where this sport is, especially with the general manager like Jim Nagy coming to run this Oklahoma roster, where he's going to take the approach of that this is like the NFL. We're going to pay guys based on what we've seen from them on the football field. And you look at David Stone, I think it's pretty clear what's going on here. There are a lot of big time college football programs across the country that need these kind of bodies in the middle of that defensive line. And you look at the Oklahoma situation and say, from what we've seen so far, David Stone is defensive tackle number 4 for this Oklahoma defense heading into 2025. Does Jim Nagy in this Oklahoma program? And I think this is why they brought Jim Nagy into the program to handle these kind of situations, as just kind of sucky as they are sometimes. It's the conversation of, we're paying David Stone a lot of money to be the defensive tackle number 4. We have other needs around the roster that we probably want to address. How do we go about using our resources most effectively? And I think the conversation between, Jim Nagy in Oklahoma and David Stone and his camp are, does it make sense for us? I think that's what's happening. And we'll see kind of how this situation evolves over the next couple of weeks or next couple of days, it sounds like. Want to get into this conversation a little bit more. Want to talk about where Oklahoma is right now in the middle of the defensive line. Talk about some potential options you could bring in through the transfer portal if David Stone is on his way out the door. Before we get into it, as always, to the Oklahoma fans, appreciate you guys. And I think more importantly, would love to hear how you guys feel in the comment section. This is nitty gritty. This is some of that off-season roster management talk that you don't talk about a ton in the Falls on Saturday, but it's really important in terms of where we are as a sport right now. Let it fly in the comment section. Appreciate you guys rocking with it. To the Oklahoma fans, y'all been showing a ton of support to the boys as we've talked spring practice. Appreciate you guys. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. Dill, I will give you the tee box here. David Stone hitting the transfer portal late Friday night. How are we feeling about it?
And I think you kind of hit the nail on the head in terms of at least where it's at, because you get the feeling that David Stone doesn't necessarily want to be at Oklahoma. I mean, that isn't the vibe, at least I get
agree.
from the beat reporters and kind of where it's been. But you said it, like Oklahoma's just in a much better spot at defensive tackle than so many programs in big programs. Like you look at where an Ohio State might be or where Miami might be, like big programs. I mean, that's excluding SEC programs who are also in a really not so great spot at defensive tackle. You just can't go there in the spring. You just look, that's where it gets. Like Jaden Jackson, he kind of asserted himself as that guy in that class over David Stone.
And I think you heard in the winter, David Stone, there was a pay cut because I think there were, like Jaden Jackson's emerged as a difference maker for this football team. We want to make sure our Mason Thomas stays out of the NFL draft and comes back to Oklahoma for one more year. I think there were other parts of this roster where that's kind of where you wanted to allocate your resources. Until I think the fundamental thing right now is David Stone on a lot of other programs would be a significant player for that defense. And then you look at Oklahoma, and again, what you're hearing from David Stone is it's been a really good spring for this kid, not only as a football player, but like as a person. He seems like he's putting it together. And so you're kind of excited, and this could change as we get into 2025. But as of right now, he's D tackle number 4 for Oklahoma, would be a much higher on the depth chart and much more impactful maybe on some other programs. I think that's where we're at. Now, kind of fast forwarding to where Oklahoma might have to go here. You take David Stone out of this depth chart, you still feel great about Jaden Jackson. You feel great about Dominic Williams. You feel great about my guy Grayson Halton, who I will continue to bang the table as the most underrated player on this football team going into 2025. But you probably want to add one more body. Like Marcus Strong looks the part. We're not really sure what we have there. You like what you have with Trent Williams coming in as a true freshman. If you're Oklahoma, we've seen from Brent Venables that depth on the defensive line is very important. one more body, if David Stone is out the door, is probably necessary if you're Oklahoma here.
And you kind of see them already kind of teeing that up. They're bringing
Yep.
Jalen Stone in now. You've seen a couple of really good players hit the portal at
Yeah.
the defensive tackle spot, and like some young guys that I think would make a lot of sense for Oklahoma in terms of at least replacing their pipeline a little bit. So, yeah, I think you look like Oklahoma, they do at least seem to know that they probably will need a fourth defensive tackle or at least a fourth guy
Just
who's
another
a
one.
little bit more proven
Yeah.
and you're not betting on as much as maybe some of their
And,
backups.
here's the thing where you're at now is there was, I mean, to win that recruitment out of high school, there's significant compensation going to David Stone's way. And if he goes to another program, you are sitting on a decent amount of resources that were earmarked for David Stone in the 2025 year. So you do have the capability of not only getting aggressive for another defensive tackle, but getting aggressive for one more difference maker wherever it is on this roster going into 2025. Now, Jalen Stone is a name that will be on campus over the next couple of days. Dill, I buzzed it a little bit. Southeast Missouri State guy. The first question mark is it's a big jump from the FCS to the SEC ranks. The first thing I'll shout out here is Tristan Smith was a wide receiver for Southeast Missouri State. He transferred to Clemson in the winter and has emerged as an absolute difference maker. And so it's not crazy. I mean, you don't see it very often, but you can see guys jump up from the FCS to the power four level and be playmakers, be difference makers. Here's the other thing I'll say. This is Jim Nagy, baby. This is a Jim Nagy kind of guy. When Jim Nagy took the job over a month ago, we said one of the best assets that he brings is evaluating guys at the lower levels of college football. He cut his teeth on doing that for the Senior Bowl. I mean, every single guy he would invite a South Dakota State guy to the Senior Bowl. The guy would ball out. And Jim Nagy knows how to evaluate these kind of players. And Jalen Stone, Dill, 3 years of eligibility, kind of like a Jaden Jackson kind of build, a little bit of a fire hydrant, really good against the run, eating up double teams, two gapping a little bit, winning at the point of attack. I mean, 3 years of eligibility, kind of replacing that David Stone-like player. And then Dill, if you want to get aggressive here and add another difference maker on the defensive line, Murad Watson from Syracuse. I'll give you the T-box here. This is another guy, true freshman like David Stone was last year, but just way further along in terms of development. And towards the end of the year for Syracuse, still, he's playing over 60 snaps a game for the Syracuse team as a true freshman interior defensive lineman. Murad Watson in the portal. We know if David Stone does leave, Oklahoma will have the funds. Doesn't make sense here.
Because that's on what like I look like. There's again, the D tackle room in the portal is not like unbelievable. I wouldn't say in the spring, and that's just the nature of the game. It's really, I mean, it's going to be hard for Oklahoma to get a real difference maker at the defensive tackle spot. This is the one guy.
This is the guy.
They really wanted it, and it would make sense. Again, similar conversation. It's not a 1-year rental. You are refilling your talent pipeline, if you will, for that upcoming years.
And you're getting a guy that's just further along as a football player than David Stone is up to this point. I mean, he played a lot, was very good against the run for Syracuse. Now, the pass rush production is probably a question mark for Murad Watson. Though I'll say this, after watching a little bit of him as a freshman, I'm not too concerned about him developing a little bit more of a pass rush toolkit over the next couple of years. I don't know, to close it out, I guess, it's an unfortunate situation, obviously, when you have a player of that talent leaving the program. But I think it's one, kind of the harsh reality of where we are in college football right now. And two,
no, it's the harsh reality of where Oklahoma's defensive tackle is compared to a lot of, and yes, obviously what college football, we all know that, but like, it's just Oklahoma's defensive tackle room is a lot better than a lot of really good teams. And where guys kind of slot in and kind of where Jaden Jackson has emerged as again, that headline figure in that freshman class, that sophomore class, I guess, incoming sophomore class. I mean, he is the guy at the defensive tackle spot, and that does require a bit of a reset. And that just kind of is what it is.
We'll see how this is. It sounds like the situation as it is Saturday afternoon is a little bit fluid. So we'll see how it plays out. But I do think this represents an opportunity for Oklahoma to have some we already knew Jim Nagy had some resource, had some ammo in the clip, so to speak. And we've already seen that with a guy like Jaden Knott. And David Stone leaves, you even have more ammo in the clip. And I wouldn't be surprised to see Oklahoma be a player for a couple more difference makers. Appreciate you guys rocking with it. Oklahoma fans, let it fly in the comment section, please. Appreciate you guys. We'll talk to y'all later. Peace.